Hi everyone and welcome to the Hybrid Kitchen. I'm your host Chris Dwelly, and today we're going to answer an email from Alexa, and she was asking me about is it possible to do the lean hybrid diet as a vegetarian? Where this is a whole lot harder, it is possible. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to make one of my favorite all-time recipes. It's not one of mine. It's actually an Emeril Lagasse recipe. It's Cajun black bean cakes. These are fantastic in and of by themselves. Top it off with a little bit of salsa maybe. It's really, really good. This is also another really good thing that goes with my stir-fried sweet potatoes, which I'm not sure if I put those on yet. If not, that's going to be one of the next things.
So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to take a tablespoon of olive oil, throw it in our pan. Extra virgin olive oil, one of my favorite things to cook with. You get a nice source of healthy fat. We're going to let that heat up, and then we will throw once this is all nice and hot, we're going to throw our first ingredient, which is some nice yellow onion. Again, it's a nice fragrant. I love yellow onions. They're fragrant. So this is one small onion. It's about 5 to 6 ounces. So once our oil heats up, we'll throw the onion in there. I'll come back to you in a second for that, and we'll move on to your next. While we're waiting for our oil to heat up, what we're gonna do is normally our next ingredient is we've got a half a cup of white all-purpose flour. I normally don't cook with white all-purpose flour, but this recipe it's essential in this recipe. So. Hey, I look at it as if Emeril says it's good, it's got to be good. So we've got a half a cup white all-purpose flour, and we have the Penzeys Spices Cajun seasoning, which we need 2 teaspoons of their Cajun seasoning. Obviously the recipe calls for Emeril Lagasse's Creole seasoning. I find Penzeys is just as good, if not better. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take a fork and we're going to stir this up and we're going to blend it so it's completely blended with no lumps, no clumps. And it's a nice, soft mixture. And we set that aside. Alright, our oil is heating up. So what we'll do is we put our onion into our olive oil. And we're going to let this cook down until your onions get caramelized. It smells so good already. So as we let that cook down, we're going to move on to our next step. Alright, next step. We have a 15.5 ounce can of black beans, and I know what you're thinking. Personally, I would much rather go with a fresh made batch of black beans. I just don't have the time to do it, and this cooking show is all about time. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our fork, we're going to put our black beans into a bowl, and we're going to mash these up. Into a nice paste. Alright, as you can see, we're starting to get a nice paste. And what we want to do here is we want to make sure that there's no whole beans left here in the mixture. We want to be able to get this nice and smooth. This is actually fairly labor intensive. You got to have good forearm strength, so hit the gym. But we want to make sure that our black bean, we're turning this more into almost like a black bean paste. If you can tell the consistency of this, it's almost like a refried bean type consistency. But I promise you this is way, way tastier than refried beans. So hang on a second, we'll get to the next step. I gotta go stir the onions. Alright, our onions are actually cooking up really nice right now. So now we're going to put in just a hint of garlic. I actually don't cook a whole lot with garlic. It kills me. But I love the smell of it in my cooking. So we're going to stir in our garlic together with our onions. Oh, that smells so good. We're going to let that cook down just a tiny little bit more. And we'll be right back. Alright. Well, while our onion mixture is cooling, what we're going to do now is we're going to put the rest of the spices here into our black bean paste. So what we've got is, let's get the camera back down here. I so need a cameraman. Okay. We need basically the recipe calls for 1 egg, lightly beaten. I'm a big fan of the liquid egg white. So 3 tablespoons of liquid egg white constitutes 1 egg. So we'll throw in 3 tablespoons of liquid egg whites. We need a 1/4 tablespoon of salt, 1/4 tablespoon of black pepper, and a 1/4 tablespoon of ground cumin. So what we do now is, where's our fork? There's the fork. We're going to take this and we're going to mix this up really good. We will add our onion and garlic mixture. And we'll scrape that right off because that's so good. And we're going to mix this all in. And our consistency is actually a little light. But we're gonna fry it up anyway and see what happens. All right. Well, here's the deal. For some reason, the consistency of our mixture here just is not going to work out for a patty. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna improvise. Because sometimes when you're in the kitchen, things just happen to not work out so good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add, pardon my face, back into my spice cabinet here. We're going to add some Cajun seasoning to the mixture since we're not going to use the flour mixture that we had. Get rid of that. And what we're going to do is, with a fork, since we can't make cakes out of this, what we're going to do is we're just going to fry up the mixture and see what it is. What we'll do is we'll portion it out. This here is about 4 servings, and I think where I went wrong was I was trying to cut the recipe in half for you guys, because it makes 8, and that seems to be a little bit much, even in my house. So what we're going to do is we're just going to fry this up, and we'll come up with some other way to eat it. So stay tuned. Alright, so what I've decided we're going to do is I brainstormed a little bit and figured out what I can do with this concoction and this mess that I got cooking here on my stove. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fry up our black bean mixture anyway. Hopefully it's going to turn out tasty. I mean, the ingredients are good. It just needs to be
The egg whites needed to be cut in half probably. So what we'll do in this instance is I'm going to fry this up. It looks pretty sad right now where we've got this mixture right here. It's a big glob of yuck right there. But what we're going to do is I decided I'm going to change this into a breakfast dish. And what I'll do is I'll serve this with maybe some eggs on top. So what I'll do is I'm going to cook that, and we're going to try it, and we're going to see what happens. So stay tuned. Alright, so we're frying up nicely. We're going to keep moving this around in our pan so things don't stick. We have about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of olive oil in here as we fry this up. And again, you know, olive oils are it's such a good healthy fat. So that's actually cooking well. It's not sticking at all. So we're gonna I'll do maybe some sunny side up eggs or some over easy, and we'll make this a pretty dish. We're still gonna top it off with a little bit of salsa, which will be fresh and homemade. I'm not gonna put the recipe up for my salsa yet. I'm going to do a whole nother show on how to make really good salsa. So stay tuned and look at the finished product when we're done. Alright, here is creativity at its best. We have our Cajun black bean with a over easy egg, topped off with a little tiny bit of fresh garden salsa. That looks pretty yummy, doesn't it? So, fiasco turns feast here in the hybrid kitchen. Again, we've got Cajun black beans with we're going to serve that with an over easy egg top with fresh garden salsa. We have some nice seedless red grapes for a side with this. An exceptionally healthy, still very vegetarian type meal. The egg was a little twist, but you don't have to serve it with an egg for a vegetarian meal if you don't want to. I highly recommend this dish. I'm going to eat it now. Let's take a look and see how it is. So let's get a little bit of the salsa, a little bit of the egg, and a little bit of the black bean all together here. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Sorry, I'm talking with my mouth full. So until next time, stay cooking.